welcome back to Truck Tech. This is Alan Adler, your Midwest Bureau Chief for FreightWaves. Happy to be with you today. We have a good show coming up with us. We will have Gautam Narang from Gatik, the CEO and co-founder, on with us shortly. But first, just a couple of headlines to hit. This is a big day for the folks at Too Simple, marking 10 million miles of autonomous freight deliveries and testing as it tries to look ahead after a year of turmoil. The latest activity in that space is on the FreightWaves.com website today, and it covers the resignation of co-founder Xiaoda Hao as a board member following a board investigation of him for trying to take Too Simple employees to a new business. So you can read about that over there. But big news for Too Simple today. And we also have coming up my one-to-one interview later this week with Chung Lu, the CEO at Too Simple. We'll be happy to have that. We have that exclusively here at FreightWaves. Also, Mack Trucks is taking submissions now for its 2024 calendar contest. You could think of this mostly as sort of metallic beefcake. The Mack entry period runs from today out to the April 15th. And if you submit a video with your photo, you get extra points towards inclusion in the calendar. And if you have a dog in the picture, even more points come your way. Okay, let's welcome in today's guest, Gautam Narang. Before founding Gatik, Gautam led multiple high-profile teams, building diverse robotic systems from moon rovers to self-driving cars and autonomous vehicles, even bomb disposal robots. His dozen years of robotics and artificial intelligence includes time at Honda R&D, and he has a master's in robotics from Carnegie Mellon University. Gautam, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Alan. Good to be on.
Yeah, it's great. We try really hard here on the show to have news, right? We like to talk about the news. We like to talk about what's happening. You've got some big news with Kroger today. Why don't you tell us about it?
Absolutely. Super happy and excited to share our partnership with Kroger. So Gatik and Kroger today are announcing a multi-year partnership where we will be automating Kroger's distribution network in the Dallas area. So as part of this partnership, multiple Class 6 box trucks from Gatik will be helping to automate transportation of goods from their fulfillment center to multiple retail locations in the DFW area. And the whole idea behind this partnership is to increase the frequency of deliveries from the fulfillment centers to the retail location, and as a result, making their supply chain more resilient and more robust, right? And the aim of this partnership is to, pass on the benefits of a more reliable network to the end consumers. I think for me personally, the best part about this partnership is, we are disrupting routes that were traditionally served by Class 8 big rigs with multiple Class 6 autonomous box trucks from Gatik. And, we did something similar in a partnership with Georgia Pacific and KBX that we announced last year. And we are seeing this trend across the industry where traditional Class 8 networks are being disrupted by Class 6 medium-duty trucks that are operating in a more frequent fashion from these DCs to the retail locations.
Yeah, I think the Class 6 thing is really interesting for a couple of reasons. One, it's something that allows you to do faster turnarounds. Obviously, these trucks are more maneuverable. They back up to docks just as well as anything else does. But you're not having to do all of that, maneuvering again with a day cab and a 53-foot trailer and that sort of thing. So it does seem like something that would be advantageous and something that you would be able to persuade customers is a good thing.
For sure. Yeah. I think in our experience, the reason for this adoption is driven by the end consumers, right? You and I as end consumers, we want our orders as fast as possible and as cheap as possible. And the only way the retailers and grocer can deliver on that promise is by moving the fulfillment close to the end consumer. And given this shift in supply chain, what we are seeing is the trips are getting shorter. The frequency of deliveries from the DCs to the retail location has increased significantly. So there's a higher need for these light and medium duty trucks. And naturally that means more drivers. And we all know that there's a huge shortage of drivers in the industry, right? The latest stat here is about 80,000 open driving roles as of today. And that number is expected to increase to 160,000 by the end of the decade. So given all of these factors together, we believe, and our customers believe, that autonomy is the right answer. So the question here is, can companies like us, can AV developers and service providers, can we deliver on the promise of autonomy? I think it's well known that the need is there, but I think in our industry, no surprise that we're going through a tough time, and companies have been struggling a lot lately. But at Gatik, we've always maintained that if we want to get to the stage of driver out faster and safer in a commercial fashion, we have to go about it in a very structured way, where the aim should be to narrow the operational domain and restrict the use of autonomy over fixed and repeatable routes. So Gatik, frankly, has been an anomaly and a contrast to the rest of the industry. And through this partnership, we are proving that as well.
Well, I think, when you have repeatable routes and you do them not just repeatable, but you do them multiple times a day, eventually the AI part of your business takes over and it learns what it needs to know on these routes, and it increases the confidence, obviously, of yourself as well as your customers. Kroger isn't alone in wanting more more frequent deliveries or needing them because of this move now to online ordering and pickups. You see the spaces. We have Kroger here in Michigan, and you can see the spaces that are taken up just for people pulling in to pick up their groceries. So clearly, at the back end, we've got to have more stuff coming into the facilities, and I guess that's what you're going to do at least 4 times a day. Is that correct on these routes?
So historically, the networks were served by semi trucks that were moving goods once or twice a week. And you're right, we're increasing that frequency to at least 4 times a day. So 4 times we are moving these goods from Kroger's distribution network to multiple retail locations. So yes, I think that benefit for increased frequency to the end consumer is they have a wider range of selection around pickup times. The lead times around if I order something and if I want to pick up that order close to the retail location, close to my place, the lead times have also shortened. So there are benefits to the end consumer without the additional cost to a customer like Kroger. Now, to touch upon your point, I think I've talked about the fact that this fixed and repeatable route is very exciting because we get to know the routes very intimately. So yes, and at the end of the day, it's a data problem. So the way our technology works, and we have designed the technology, is over-optimize, overfit our machine learning models to perfect driving on these routes. And by doing that, our data requirement and our resource requirement is significantly less compared to a company that is trying to, frankly, boil the ocean and go after a much more broader autonomy challenge like robotaxi or last mile delivery.
Sure. And, we won't even talk about long haul because I think it's really important. And you did a good job, I think, of describing it. This is short haul. This is not really middle mile the way we hear it from some of the some of the other autonomous startups. They talk about sort of hub to hub middle mile. You're looking at short haul, 60 miles in this case, over and back from a hub and spoke distribution center out to a store and then back to distribution. So, more of a relay type approach, I guess. Is that a good description?
In fact, when we look at the autonomous delivery landscape, we and our customers look at it in mainly 3 big segments. So one, you have long-haul trucking, which is typically done using Class 8s over highways. On the other end of the spectrum, you have last-mile delivery robots making deliveries to the customer's doorstep. Gatik as a company focuses on middle mile B2B short haul network. So the way we define the middle mile is the routes can be as long as 300 miles using class 3 to class 6 box trucks. These are light and medium duty trucks. And in terms of environments, we tackle driving in urban environments and highway as well. Now, quickly touching upon class 8 long haul trucking, right? For a very long time, the narrative in the industry was highway driving is easier. We'll have big rigs being commercially deployed, sooner than any other application. I think it's fair to say now that, given the recent developments in the industry has come around to the new narrative that's, class 8 is not as easy as originally thought. And the way I look at that reason, from a purely software standpoint, we all agree that highway driving is easier. But as a business, Class 8 long-haul trucking is mainly facing two challenges. The first one is safety. Second one is regulation. Safety because, it's a mass and velocity problem, right? You have this 80,000-pound truck driving down the highway at, let's say, 75, 80 miles per hour. You have to be damn sure that the system is perfect before you can pull the driver out. And companies have struggled with that. The commercialization timelines have been pushed out multiple times. Somehow the promise of autonomy is always 3 to 4 years out. And contrasting that with what we are doing at Gatik, right? Our trucks are smaller in size, the routes are shorter. The best part is we have the flexibility and the luxury to choose the safest and the easiest possible routes. So because of this constrained focus, Gatik became the first and the only autonomous trucking company to pull the driver out in a commercial capacity. So we did this with our partner Walmart in Arkansas, and we have been doing that since 2021. Today, it's not just Walmart in Arkansas, it's also Loblaw in Toronto as well. So only autonomous trucking company to have been able to hit this milestone. And we're only, I would say, growing and scaling from here.
So you're going to start the Kroger project. You'll start with safety drivers monitoring the progress. And I presume that goes on for how long? A few months or shorter period of time until you get some mastery of these routes?
In May of this year. And then next year onwards is when we expect to have the drivers coming out at a regular cadence across the routes, depending on the route length and the complexity. And taking a step back, frankly, that's how our business model works as well. So it's route by route and side by side go-to-market strategy. So we prioritize routes where the technology is solvable today. And as we get more comfortable, as we collect more data on these specific routes, the driver starts coming out. And this is the metric that we call is TTU, so time to unman. So this is a function of when we expand to a new route to when the driver comes out. And just to share a bit of a sense here, it took us about 24 months to be able to pull the driver out with Walmart. So we started doing commercial operations with Walmart in Arkansas in 2019. And August of 2021 is when we were able to validate the technology to be safe enough to pull the driver out for that specific route. And over time, that TTU metric has reduced. And that will continue reducing as we get more trucks and more data from these trucks.
So, Gautam, eventually autonomous trucks are going to need to follow the trend toward electrification. You're already working on this, I understand. Can you explain where you are and if there are any special challenges with going to a different powertrain?
I totally agree that I would say all our customers, they want autonomous and electric box trucks. So, the future is autonomous and electric. Today, Gatik has, a mixed fleet of ICE and EVs. I would argue that electrification, in addition to autonomy, will happen in short haul, B2B short haul first. The reason is, where the EV technology is and the trip lengths, right? So the fact that we do driving up to 300 miles and, we have an opportunity to get a charge at the hub location while the goods are being loaded and also get a charge while the goods are being unloaded at the drop-off location, right? Getting that opportunistic charge allows us to have this continuous cycle of operation where we can promise more than 20 hours of operation in a 24-hour window without stopping. And this is a function of, getting that opportunistic charge and the distances involved in this particular use case. And we are working very actively with the different customer of ours. So, just to, share a bit more about the customer profile that we have today. So we have over 10 Fortune 500 customers. These are customers across the different supply chains. So retail, grocery, e-commerce, logistics companies, food distributors, paper distributor, and CPG companies as well. Each of these customers, they want autonomous and electric box trucks. And we're working very closely with them to set up these EV charging infrastructure. You'll see Gatik do a bigger push around electric and autonomous box trucks starting next year. I think now I can talk about this publicly. Isuzu, who's our OEM partner for many years, they recently announced their native EV platform that they plan to launch in the coming years. So we're working closely on those platforms as well.
Yeah, I think they just announced that, I believe, at the Work Truck Week last week, that the N series was going to be electrified, and I think they're going to work with the Shift Group to do that. So and I know you work with Isuzu among others on your truck. So you think that'll perhaps be the first place that your electric truck will be tried? Again, these are probably what, 3 and 4, class 3 and 4 trucks, not full fives, right? Or are they?
Of what we're doing on the electrification front with Isuzu. What I can share is,
Yes.
there's a bigger push across the different classes, so not just 3 and 4, but 5 and 6 as well. So our sweet spot is class 3 to class 6. So we are working very closely with Isuzu, but have also been working with the other OEM partners and other tier 1 partners as well. Long term, we plan to offer Gatik solution more broadly across the different vehicle platforms. So the way we have designed the technology is it's platform agnostic. With some modification, we are able to integrate this across the different kind of vehicle platforms. And more recently, we did a push to integrate directly with some of the leading tier 1. So we announced a partnership with Cummins as well. As you would know that, Cummins engine is running in majority of the vehicle platforms that are, I would say, exciting for us. So all this to say, the plan is to offer our technology and our solution more broadly across the different vehicle platforms. Today, the focus is on Isuzu trucks, because Isuzu has been the market leader when it comes to class 3 to class 6 vehicles, and they have been a great partner of Gatik for the last few years. Together, we are working on launching level 4 capable trucks at scale.
Okay, I'm going to give you one more, and we've only got a couple of minutes left. So I'd like you to give me, if you can, Gautam, a 5-year prediction on the Gatik business. So far, you don't really have any direct competitors on the short haul or middle mile, as you describe it. Is that going to change as people see what you're doing, and how do you keep an edge as we move forward?
Fair question. I'm surprised, 6 years into the journey, we still do not have a direct competitor. So that's surprising. I would have expected someone to go after this use case, which is very exciting and has been validated by our customer by now, right? But I think it's a timing thing, and the fact that Gatik spends a lot of time with the customers getting the validation directly from them has been the reason why we are so bullish on this particular use case. But talking about the next 5 years, right? So we are moving towards a future where scale and growth is the focus for us. I know, things are very different in the industry, but our aim is to have hundreds of trucks in the next few years. And just to be specific, end of this year, we expect to have over 100 trucks commercially deployed. Today, that number is 45 trucks. So next 5 years, I expect to have hundreds of trucks without anyone on board, us focusing on longer routes, and also growing with the customer accounts that we have today. And this fleet, will not just be autonomous, but electric as well. And just talking a bit more about the other use cases, I would say, the timelines there would continue to get pushed. It will happen, right? I'm a believer in autonomy. I've spent over 12, 13 years in this space. So that's for a reason. But I'm not a believer in some of the timelines that, some of our industry peers have shared around robotaxi scaling, and some of the long haul trucking timelines are also, I would say, unrealistic. Hence the reason why the industry has been struggling, and it's not a surprise to us. We have been saying this for a while at Gatik, and we're not just saying it; we are proving it as well.
Okay, well, Gautam, this has been great. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time, and we wish you all the best with Kroger. We call it going Kroger, where I grew up in Cincinnati. So have a great day. Thank you much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Alan. Take care.
Thank you. Okay, so earlier this week, folks, I spent a couple hours at Nikola's plant in Coolidge, Arizona. Nikola has generated a lot of headlines in recent months, not all of them positive about its finances. But on the ground, this is a plant in full action, building electric and fuel cell trucks. Nikola CEO Michael Loscheller and I spent a few minutes together. Here's our conversation. So great opportunity this week, guys, to spend a little time here at Nikola in Coolidge, Arizona. Opportunity also to spend a couple minutes with Michael Loscheller, the CEO and president of Nikola. It's great to be here with you in person, Michael. This is great stuff. Thank you.
Well, great, and welcome to Coolidge. Welcome to Nikola, Alan.
Thank you very much. Second visit here. You guys, I love what you've done with the place. It's a little bigger than it was last time, a year ago. And you have got a lot going on out here. Let me start with fuel cells, because that's where you're headed. That's what's the new thing, right? I mean, it's been talked about forever. Give me an update on where we are with the fuel cell program right now, Mike.
Right, so fuel cell is now the important launch for Nikola in this year. Just to recap, so last year we launched the BEV. I think that was exactly when you were here in April of 22. Very successful launch, first important launch for Nikola and the truck now in the market. But this year, 23, it's all about the fuel cell truck at Nikola. We have done the Alpha trucks, we have done the Beta trucks, and now we are producing Gamma trucks. So the last trucks before we go into serious production. It's very exciting to see. And by the way, that's why I love to come to Coolidge, to see the progress and obviously also drive and feel the product. I think we are making very good progress, and then very excited to launch this truck in the second half of this year. And it's fair to say it will be the first Class 8 fuel cell truck in the market in the US.
And that's really where I think Nikola has a chance right now, Ben, to distinguish yourself as a leader, and that's in the fuel cells. Because the legacy truck makers are doing just fine with BEVs, right? With battery electric trucks, they've got a few more than you've had. And the fact is, you've actually said by 2026, you think fuel cell is 80% of the business here. Why do you think that?
Well, obviously, customers will decide at the end of the day what preference they have. BEV truck was very important for us in terms of the launch and showing that we can do this. And a lot of people love, obviously, the battery electric truck. The reason I think the fuel cell truck could have more potential is for three reasons. First, the range is better. So our fuel cell truck has a range of up to 500 miles. That's quite a bit. The fueling time will be around 20 minutes, so it's faster. And the truck is better in terms of weight, meaning our customers can carry more. So those are three important things. And then what we try to do on the Nikola side is we want to offer the hydrogen at the same time. And bringing these things together, you have a real integrated mobility solution on the fuel cell and hydrogen side. And I think actually nobody has that. And I hope, hence, that is a real competitive advantage. We are the first ones, and we offer everything, the chicken and the egg.
Yeah,
put it like this.
It's a big lift, though, isn't it, to try to do the trucks, which is the first to really productionize these things, and then to have a hydrogen fuel for them. It's a big lift. There's a lot going on at one time here.
Yeah, of course, but isn't that great? I mean, first of all, it's our second truck, so we know how to develop and how to launch a truck. We have now a dealer network. We have the service. What is new is a whole piece of energy, and of course, we don't do that on our own. I mean, we work with partners, make sure that we secure hydrogen, then we distribute it, mainly in the first place to California, which is also very close in terms of where we are in Arizona, and then dispensing it. We have announced by 26 we want to have 60 stations in California. We have already identified the first 4. So yeah, to your point, it's a lot of work. We are busy, but we slice it into pieces and we make great progress.
Well, and I think the interesting thing is the time to win financially. This is not an easy time to raise more money. That's another thing. How much of a burden is that to sort of figure out where to get the capital that you need in this market?
I think we want to be very focused on the zero-emission mobility. And yes, obviously, we have capital needs. We have to be very focused, work through that. And we also work with partners. So it's not that we can and want to do everything on our own. And I think that's a little bit like the recipe for success, right? We're very focused on the key trends. And hydrogen is obviously a key element. And what is also helping these days is the Inflation Reduction, right? So that's a lot of support. Runs on the production of hydrogen, on the dispensing, but also on the purchase of the truck, right? So a reminder for everybody in California within the HVIP program, you get up to $288,000 for one fuel cell truck from Nikola. I would say that's a lot of money, right? And it's attractive. So it's good that there is financial support, but we from a company also are very focused and mindful in terms of our expenses and what we're doing.
Last thing I'll ask you about on this time, we'll talk again, of course, but the last thing I'll ask you about this time is Iveco. You were talking about partners. That's your manufacturing partner. How much farther can that partnership go? I mean, you've got the plant in Germany at home. You've got plans over there for fuel cells as well as BEV, trailing a little bit what's happening here. But tell me where that could go in your mind.
Well, obviously, Iveco is a very important partner for us, in particular in Europe. If you look at the setup, so we have the manufacturing facility in Ulm, which is a 50-50 joint venture. Then, basically, those zero-emission trucks of Nikola are being distributed through the Iveco dealer network. So I think it's a very important partnership, and both sides benefit from each other. We obviously have their experience at the same time. Nikola has a lot of expertise, in particular on the software and the control side. But also, we have a fantastic engineering team. So bringing these things together, we think is a good foundation.
Very good. Michael, great to see you. Thanks for having me out.
Thank you, Alan.
Okay, so want more on Nikola? You can get it on Friday at trucktech.com. Excuse me, on the Truck Tech newsletter, which is on FreightWaves.com, and you can subscribe to it on our page for newsletters. So looking forward to writing that up. We haven't had a chance to do that yet, but we really appreciate everyone being here. Thanks so much. Have a great week, everyone.